Hey guys, it's Brant coming to you today as Ace Frehley. Although some would say I look a little more like Tommy Thayer. Maybe it's the broader face, maybe it's the wig. But this is my video dressing up as Ace for the month of October. I have a video you can see at the end of this video of me putting on the makeup in time lapse and a real-time video of it on my Patreon page. But today, what I'm talking about in this video is I want to talk about this solo album, and I want to talk about my thoughts on Ace in general. The 1978 solo albums mean a lot to me, even though I like some more than others. I've grown to appreciate all of them. I go back and forward between Paul's and Ace's being my favorite. It all depends on the mood I'm in. But there's sometimes I just want to sit down and listen to Gene's solo album or listen to Peter's solo album. It really always depends on what kind of mood I'm in, even though I do have them stacked a way that I like them and I listen to them in a particular order. If I listen to all four of them, and I don't listen to them in the order that I like them or the order from least to most or most to least. It's just a particular peculiar order that I do. But talking about Ace's solo album and talking about the solo albums in general from 1978, these albums were unprecedented. No band had ever did anything like this. And at the time, when I was a kid and these came out and I purchased them, my mom purchased them for me, it was one of those weird things. It's like, why is Kiss making solo albums? Why aren't they making an album? Because, you know, because Kiss Alive 2 had recently came out and they toured for Kiss Alive 2, and then they started making the Phantom. They started making their solo albums at around the same time. Some members of Kiss started their solo albums a little earlier than Phantom, and then they just kind of took a break, and then we went into the Dynasty era. But I remember this solo album, and I remember all four of these solo albums when they came out, and just the iconic covers, the iconic era of that time, and how they established their color schemes, like with Ace being blue, for example. And I remember being a kid and being like, this is amazing, that it was so cool that these guys, and you got four albums all at once. It was unprecedented. And I remember the very first time I heard Ace's album, it wasn't the first album I listened to. The first album I listened to was Peter's, because Peter was my man. I loved Peter Criss back in the day, drummer just like him, and he was a big inspiration to me. And I listened to his and I was a little disappointed. And the next person I listened to was Ace, because my sister, she loved Ace. And we used to dress up, we were Ace and Peter. And I was Peter, she was Ace. So the next one I listened to was Ace's, and I remember being floored. It was such a good rock and roll album, and the drums on Ace's album was how the drums on Peter's album should have been. But I don't know if they could have been, if you know what I'm saying. Not saying that Peter's not a good drummer, but he's not an Anton Fig. So, talking a little bit about what I'm doing this for. I dressed up like Ace Frehley / Tommy Thayer. I look more like Tommy Thayer, but I dressed up like Ace Frehley, okay? That be said, I dressed up like Ace Frehley. I'm doing this in honor of the solo albums. Just the fact that they came out in September of 1978, and it led up to the Phantom coming out in October that same year. And so I'm doing this in the month of October of this year, leading up to that, leading up to the anniversary of the Phantom coming out. And I want to talk a little bit about Ace's album. Now, Ace's album was the album that Kiss thought couldn't be made. Gene and Paul both offered Ace help. You know, do you need help? And Ace basically said, no, I'm fine, I got it. And so him, Will Lee, Ace played almost all the guitars on his album. He played bass on several of the songs. Will Lee played on the songs Ace didn't play on. And Anton Fig played the drums. And Eddie Kramer produced it. Stripped down. They recorded it at the mansion in Connecticut. And They used a lot of natural things, like Anton's drums tracks was recorded on the second riser of the main staircase. Ace's amps was placed in these big, huge rooms, sometimes placed in the fireplace in a ballroom, and sometimes they would place it in smaller rooms. They'd put rugs down or they'd pull the rugs up, all depending on what kind of sound they wanted to get. And Ace, his confidence was at an all-time high, coming off of Shock Me, the success of Shock Me, coming off of everybody being a big fan of Rocket Ride. His confidence was at an all-time high whenever he made this album. And he made this album trying to prove to Gene and Paul and to the rest of the world that he could rock out and that he could make a good rock album. Ace did not try to make a Kiss album. Ace tried to make a rock and roll album. And he did a very good job. So, I'm going to talk a little bit about what songs I like on Ace's album. We're going to start. And Ace's album is a good album, but there's some songs I like better than others. So, let's start with track one. Track one, Rip It Out. Everybody loves Rip It Out. And I'm not going to dog Rip It Out because I like Rip It Out. I love the drums in it. I love that drum fill in it. And it just kicks ass. It comes out and punches you in the teeth when it comes out. But it's a song that I've heard so much that it's not one of the songs that I really look forward to hearing off of the album. It's just, but it's, don't get me wrong, it's good. I love Rip It Out. But I usually am waiting for the next few songs. So Rip It Out, once we get past Rip It Out, we got Speeding Back to My Baby. And I love Speeding Back to My Baby. I love that opening riff. Even though it's got the female background singers, which was a big thing in the 70s, Ace wasn't using horns and saxophones, and he wasn't using big, huge ensembles of people to help, and a bunch of special guests to fluff his album up. He was basically just making a stripped-down rock and roll album, and Speeding Back to My Baby is a great song. Now, Snowblind is one of my favorite songs on the album. I freaking love Snowblind. Ozone is probably my favorite song on this album. I love Ozone. What's on Your Mind closes out the first side. What's on Your Mind is really good. It's one of those songs where it's kind of, you can tell it's kind of the ending track of a side. It kind of takes its foot off the gas a little bit, but it's still really good. New York Groove, beginning the second side. Everybody loves New York Groove. And I am not the biggest fan of this song, but I respect it for what it did. It was a huge hit for Ace. He played it on the Dynasty tour, but even though it was a cover song, like 2,000 Man would be To Come, I'll take 2,000 Man over New York Groove. You know what I'm saying? But I heard this, I watched The Blacklist, and the other day, there was I think it was season 5 episode opener. They were playing New York Groove as during the opening scene. And I thought that was so cool. So I'm not saying that I don't like New York Groove, but it's not one of my favorite songs on this album. The next song, I'm in Need of Love. I'm in Need of Love is amazing. I love I'm in Need of Love. It's got one of my favorite solos on the album. Wiped Out. Wiped Out is amazing. That swagger and just the Wiped Out at the beginning of it is just, that's so Ace. And then Fractured Mirror. Now, I'm not a big instrumental person, but I respect Fractured Mirror for what it did, not for Ace, but for the millions of people, the guitarists, and I do believe there were millions of guitarists that were influenced by Ace, and they heard Fractured Mirror, and they picked up a guitar and learned how to play the guitar because of Ace and because of songs like Fractured Mirror and other songs that's on this album. So, like I said, Ace's solo album, it goes back and forward with being my favorite solo album of the 4 between his and Paul's. They're different, but they're very different albums, but they both have they find a very special place, you know, for me. Now, what do I think about Ace in general? I think Ace would be the kind of person that would be fun to hang out with. If I'm got a beer in my hand and I'm wanting to party and everything, I think Ace would be the guy to hang out with and party. But I also think he would get on my nerves a little fast. So Personality-wise, I could probably stand him in small doses. But now, as for his guitar playing ability, he is self-taught. He has a technique and a style that is all his own. Is he the greatest songwriter? No. Does he write songs as good as Paul Stanley? In my opinion, no. Is he the greatest singer, best singer? No. But he has a very unique voice, which is thumbs up in my book. He has a very unique sound. As far as his guitar goes, his solos goes, and his songs go. He has a very unique sound. Probably the most unique sounding Kiss. Paul's and Gene's and Peter's songs, well, they all have their own different sound. But I think out of the four of them, Ace has the most overall unique sound. Ace also has the single best solo career post-Kiss. Peter didn't do anything hardly. He has a bunch of followers and everything, but he didn't do as well on a solo career as Ace did. Gene and Paul have both produced and released solo albums. Gene's Asshole and Paul's Live to Win, which I'll be reviewing both of those in the future. I'll be reviewing all post-Kiss solo albums or outside of Kiss solo albums. But they've not done as well as Ace's has. And I remember seeing Ace when he left Kiss, and I hated when Peter left, but I really hated when Ace left. Well, when Peter got fired and then when Ace quit. But I remember seeing Ace whenever he came out with Frehley's Comet, and he came to Charlotte and played a little club called Cadillacs in Hickory, North Carolina, which is now a strip club, the funniest thing. But I saw him there, and he had White Lion opening for him, and they were on their Pride tour, and it was the first. Had not hard. I mean, When the Children Cry wasn't even a hit yet. But I had never heard of White Lion, and so I saw them at this show, and I was like, oh, they kick ass. And then Ace came out, and Ace came out with Rock Soldiers and all these Kiss songs, all these badass Kiss songs. And he just sounded so great, and it was just so good to see Ace. Even though he was in a bad situation and bad times, you know, with the booze and everything during that time, he still kicked ass. And Ace has just got this personality to him and this swagger to him, and he's just so easy to love, and just so, you know, you watch some of these videos of where but Ace just has this personality to him and this swagger to him. He's just so easy to love, and he's just, like I said, he's the kind of guy I'd like to hang out with for just a little bit. But what do I think of Ace? I have more of a love relationship with him than I do a hate relationship with him. There's nothing that I don't really not like about Ace. Everything with Ace, as far as I'm concerned, is pretty much a double thumbs up for Ace Frehley, as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, that's all I've got for this video. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you enjoyed watching me sitting here looking like Tommy Thayer, looking like an Ace Frehley cosplayer. But this video has been all about the Spaceman. It has been all about the original, one and only Ace Frehley, the one and only Spaceman in my book. And this has just been an homage to him for all the years that he's done for us, entertaining us, all the years that he put this makeup on and made albums like this one right here, and continued to make albums throughout the years. He didn't just quit. He continued to make albums. I wish he was on the End of the Road tour, but in some ways I don't wish he was on the End of the Road tour, because he was on the End of the Road tour just doing the way they're doing it now, and you'd pull Tommy out, put Ace in, I don't know if I'd like it. But that's just me, and these are all my opinions. Everything I've said is my opinion, which means it's not right or wrong. Some people get so bent over when I say something. They get so bent over it being, it's not law, it's not God. So it's just my opinion. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave comments down in the comment section. Hit subscribe if you haven't. Hit the notification button to get, hit the notification bell to get notifications. Check out my Patreon page. Check out my other videos. There's videos at the end of this, one of me putting on the makeup, and one of probably something else that has to do with this series. Maybe Gene, maybe Paul. I don't know. I don't know which one YouTube will throw up there. But anyway, I'm Brant Within My Head channel. That's all I've got for this one. I'll see you next time as Peter Criss. And I'm not looking forward to doing that makeup. Anyway, I'll see you next time, guys. Thanks for watching.